Hi, it's Mark Beaumont and I'll be taking part in Doddie Aid 2025 to raise vital funds for research into motor neuron disease. And I'll be cycling, of course, the best activity of all. Beat that!
There's only one activity for us, rugby, just like Doddie.
Can we just go for a walk? We don't really do swim caps. No offense.
Well, I agree, ladies, but personally, I prefer something a wee bit more relaxing. Oh, for goodness sake!
Whoa. What's all this talk about the best activity?
Absolutely delighted.
It's about finding what works for you.
Whatever you choose to do, just make it count.
Join Doddie Aid today. Pick your activity, log your miles, and help us tackle motor neuron disease.
We're
in this together.
Try to keep up, Mark.
We're in this together and there are only hours to go. It feels like Sky Sports on deadline day. We have got less than 5 hours to go of Doddie 2025, people. And although it feels like we're almost at the finish line, there are a heap of people who are still out there doing crazy things. We are going to be joined very soon by the craziest, the captain of crazy, the man who kicked all of this off. And he's currently on his bike. I've been watching pictures of his backside bobbing up and down as he cycles in God's country, the Scottish borders between Kelso and Galashiels, and he's going to join us live. So look forward to that one. We've got a star-studded guest list tonight. It is amazing. We are covering all the bases for Doddie Aid, and I am delighted that you are here to join us for the last dance. This is it. This is the last one on the last day of Doddie Aid, and it has been a wild ride. So much has happened in such a short space of time, although if your January was anything like mine, felt like it had about 465 days in it, but we are into February and it's almost there, and I am blown away by everything that you lot have got up to. It is absolutely incredible, the time and effort and energy that you people are putting in to logging your miles, growing the community, spreading the word about what the foundation does and about motor neuron disease. I take my hat off to you. It is inspiring. You have done amazing things and continue to do amazing things. So stick with us. We're going to have some fun over the next hour. We're going to learn a little bit too, and hopefully we're going to sign off in style. Now, the team, the backstage team that do so much, there's so many to mention, but rather than just listen to me list off a list, we decided, how about a montage? We love a montage here at Doddie Aid, and you love watching. And this one is an absolute cracker that has been put together with a lot of love, and I think you're going to enjoy it. So less from me and more from you. Have a watch of this.
We're in this together. Sign up for Doddie Aid.
I think by doing that, people are helping to define the narrative of this disease. You know, we still need to do more.
And I'll be running to get my Doddie Aid miles in, helping to raise vital funds for motor neuron disease research. What about you?
I'll be dancing to get my Doddie miles in.
I'll be climbing the beaches of Port Ross to get my Doddie Aid miles in.
Be rowing, running, skiing, walking and cycling to get my miles in.
I'll be doing whatever activity I can, whether that be running, swimming, cycling.
We'll be logging some miles on the golf course.
Yeah, it was a bit windy that day when we were running at Murrayfield Stadium with the First Minister, and it feels like a very, very long time ago. It was amazing to see so many people. We kicked it off with the Doddie Duke, which is always one of my favourites. A bit chilly at the time, but incredible way to kick it off. And we're finishing with a whole load of mad people on their bikes. And in between, there was you and everything that you got up to. So a few thank yous from me, especially to all you who tuned in, who signed up. Over 14,000 people were part of Doddie Aid. Now, if you think the MND community is not just us, but we were 14,000 strong. And then you look at everything that our good mate Sir Kev has been up to, and what Ed Slater's doing, and the Stephen Darby, and there's so many people who are growing the MND community, but there was 14,000 of us doing what we did, and I think you've done it in a fantastic way. So many great things. There's a heap of people behind the scenes, the digital volunteers who are producing the content and keeping the socials up to date, sharing things, sharing ideas and sticking together. So thank you to all of the volunteers, and that team is only going to grow. And if you're interested, please get in touch, because let's face it, Doddie Aid 2026 is already being planned, and there's going to be lots of information coming out about that very, very soon. To the team managers, we saw them, the team managers from Wales, Mark and Steph, amazing people, inspiring people. I left high as a kite after speaking to them. The hope and the joy that they bring and give to others is fantastic, and they have benefited hugely from being involved and giving them that focus. So keep it going, keep supporting, and well done to the Williams. Big handsome Sean down in deepest, darkest Englandshire. He's backstage pushing the buttons and pulling the strings and looking after us all, and he's kept that Team England going. What a character he is, and I'm looking forward to seeing him soon when I journey down the road to London, baby, for the Calcutta Cup game. So big handsome Sean, we love you, baby. And then up here in Scotland, we had Morvid and Richard. They are relentless, the two of them. They have come together. They've joined up. The forces from the districts have become national managers, and they've done a fantastic job as well. So big hand to all the managers, and we'll be looking for people to stay involved, and then more people to get involved for next year. So as I say, if you're keen, please get involved. Now, we are getting close to Mr. Wainwright. I believe he is just applying some cream to his hind parts as he gets off the bike, and into the bus to have a chat to us. So we're going to be joined by Wainwright very, very soon. So just to give you a bit of context, Rob has done it all, hasn't he? Cardiff to Murrayfield, Murrayfield to Cardiff, everything in between. Last year, he challenged people and said, right, everybody get to Rome. However you get there, doesn't matter, but we'll see you in Rome, 5 p.m. in the Piazza, day before Scotland, Italy. And a heap of teams went for it. This year, there's over 300 cyclists who are doing Doddie's Grand Tour, because the cyclists never really spend that much time in Scotland. So now they're in and around Scotland, and they are going for it, and they are being hosted by clubs and schools and all sorts. And I think we are almost ready to hear from Captain Fantastic. There he is. Oh, and he's joined by his stunt partner who was pulling all sorts as he came away. Hello, gentlemen. How are you?
Not too bad. Not too bad.
Yeah, pretty long, tiring day, but we've just filled up on roast pork at Kelso, which has been fantastic.
I heard they had 2 hogs for you.
And the crackling was amazing. Absolutely. Yeah.
Superb.
So,
Gordon, I'm a little bit worried about you. Are you okay?
I am struggling, but that's the gig, isn't it?
That's the gig. When you were pulling away at the start of the Grand Tour, did you have a little slide there?
I did, yeah. Rob operates as the king of the road, so he just decided to clean me out because he preferred an extra bit of space on the road.
Two sides to every story.
It's Rob's world. We're just living in it.
Oh, Gordon, I hear you, brother. I hear you. Oh, and do you know that person? Do you know Megan Darcy?
Yeah, hi, Megan.
I love it. So how's it been? So today's been tough. What have you got left to do today?
Well, we were just setting off. We had 40 miles to Peebles, and now we have about 38 miles to Peebles. But it's pretty cold out there, and obviously our energy levels are brimming. He lies, but we'll get there. We've to be honest, we've been really lucky. The weather's been amazing. Biggest problem is cold. After every stop, you sweat up when you're riding, and then we strip everything off when we get to a stop, and then we start to feel cold, and then when you go out again, it takes a while to warm up again.
Well, I'm told the forecast for tomorrow is beautiful. Tomorrow is to be a really nice day of weather, so hopefully that bodes well. Gordon, I'm keen because I have to listen to the captain a lot, and you're giving us some fresh blood here. So, Gordon, talk me through Ireland and their involvement in Doddie Aid this year.
Yeah, well, it was great. We had Doddie's Grand Tour starting in the Guinness Brewery yesterday morning, so it was great to have that first time really getting that big start in Dublin and right the way up to Belfast. And again, it's that tradition, stopping into all the pubs. Oh my lord, there's a Freudian slip into all the rugby clubs. Everybody just going above and beyond for us along the way, and it's that tradition in rugby that's just so fantastic. The welcome, it's been brilliant all the way through. So hopefully it's only the start of it in Ireland.
Rob, you must be just bumping into heaps of people that you've cajoled and forced and bribed into all sorts of things before. Have you renewed some old friendships along the way?
Well, we've got a lot of people doing the ride that have done it, before or a number of times before. But the amazing thing is that the rugby community is so kind that we just got in touch with them and said, we would like to drop in at your rugby club. And what they've laid on for us, the effort they've gone to, none of them have asked for any money. And today they've been feeding 330 people or something like that. 2 hog roasts at Kelso, which were provided by, a local. I'm embarrassed to say I didn't get the name, but fantastic that they laid it on with great crackling. Did I tell you that? And
yeah, you did enjoy the crackling, didn't you, Gordon?
Yeah.
We know Rob's relationship with Doddie, and the famous '97 Lions video where the two of them became stars of the show. What's your memories of Doddie?
One of my really good friends is Paul Wallace, and Paul would have played on that same tour. So actually got to meet Doddie a couple of times through Paul. So that was years ago when he was wearing the big tartan suit, larger than life. So yeah, just a really, really nice human being, really nice guy, and Paul always spoke incredibly highly of him. So that was good enough for me. So when Rob reached out and said, "Listen, would you like to help out?" It was an easy answer.
And are you a fan of the Lycra and cycling anyway, or has this helped push you onto it?
No, I did a little bit. I did the cycle last year, but yeah, I look like a 10-pound bag of sugar in a 5-pound bag. So Lycra's not my friend.
Yeah, I hear you, brother. I'm more like a badly packed suitcase. There's Doug Stevens saying it was Oink at Kelso that provided the hogs, Rob. The Marshall family, and Oink is also available on Victoria Street in just up from the Grass Market if you're feeling peckish when you make it to Edinburgh. So class, well done the Marshalls and Oink, and thanks Doug for keeping track. Gordon, you're heading up through Scotland now, and you're obviously going to finish off in Edinburgh at the weekend. What's your thoughts for the game?
Is there something going on at the weekend?
I'm told after you lot arrive, it's downhill from there, quite literally. But yeah, your boys are coming into town to take a bit of hiding, I'm told.
Great. Listen, I love when Scotland are really confident. Usually bodes well for us. No, like it's listen, two good teams. The usual pleasantries around it. Ireland have plenty of reasons they can win. Scotland have lots of reasons they can win. Finn Russell, give him the keys, see what he can do, and he rarely has two bad games in a row. So listen, it'll be really interesting game. Ireland won the last 10 meetings, and there's every time you win, you get a game. You're one game closer to losing. So that's the kind of way Scotland would be looking at it. But for Ireland, listen, they want to make a bit of history this year. So it makes for a really thrilling match, and looking forward to it.
Jeez, that was almost Scottish the way you said that. Yeah, we can win, but we're actually just getting closer to losing. Come on, Gordon.
Did you ever lose to Scotland?
I did. Dan Parks kicked us off the field in Croke Park. We butchered 4 tries in the first half. 2 over the line. I dropped 1 over the line, and then Dan Parks did like 6 penalties. And final whistle went, and everybody looked and just went, "Oh, how did that happen?" Parksy had an absolute cracker of a night that night.
That was a belter. Rob, what happens next?
Well, you're going to ask me now. You're going to ask me now.
No, I'm not asking you about rugby. What happens between now and Friday, Rob? Tell us more about the Grand Tour.
Okay, we stay half a stay at Peebles now, the other half stay at Biggar. I'm meeting David Milne, old friend from my rugby days. He lives in Peebles, has not been well recently, so we're looking forward to having a pint with him before we get some sleep, which we're really looking forward to. And then tomorrow we're all over to Ayrshire, big send-off at Ayr Rugby Club at 11 to 11:30, and then we've got various routes that go up via Greenock and Glasgow Accies, Stirling County, Dollar, and half people are staying at Dollar, the other half staying at Glenarmon, the 2 schools which are looking after us. Glenarmon have got a team here that seem to be the tail enders. They're marking the back of the peloton. They just arrived as we left Kelso now. And then we're all over Aberdeenshire, end up in the Montrose area tomorrow night, and then the final run in. I've just been sorting out with Kathy. She's got a new bike. She's coming to join us for the Saturday ride. Are you doing anything on Saturday, Bruce? Bad line.
I'll be at the end to cheer you on. I'll be like John Terry. I'll be dressed in the tracksuit for the photograph at the end. I'll be there. Don't you worry, Gordon. You're getting a bit of a tour of a country that in rugby clubs that you'll never have got close to. But you've already mentioned the tradition. I take it you're enjoying the hospitality.
Yeah, and really enjoying. It's great to see everybody just going above and beyond. But unsurprising in a lot of ways, because rugby fraternity is, while it's wide and deep, and they're an incredible bunch of people when they pull together. It's the same in Ireland, and unsurprisingly, it's the exact same here.
No, it's absolutely class. Rob, we're less than 5 hours away from the end of Doddie Aid. You came up with all this crazy stuff many moons ago. How does it feel?
I've got 2 days more miles from this ride to add to my total, but I don't think I'm going to knock the guy on the top. There's some guy who's on about 1,600 miles, which is that's a lot of cycling every day. But no, it's fantastic. It's always got a good vibe to it, and to a degree, the ride is the finale. And I would be being remiss. I'd like the camera to be turned around, because we've got 2 other very famous people here who've had to stand in. This is the other half of the team. Tom and Angus, say hi.
Hello.
How are you, Bruce?
They like to be referred to as the core members of the core team. The core.
But
good to see you, gentlemen.
Dumb and Dumber. So Mark and I were meant to be doing an interview with Heart Radio, and there was a bit of a cock up, and we were standing waiting to be rung in a lay-by, and the call went in, and they just had Dumb and Dumber there. So they started doing the interview. They did the interview with Jenny Rhea, and luckily Gas came in and saved the day. Talk some sense.
Class. I love it. It'd be rubbish if it went smoothly.
I know. But we've had a lot of laughs and half the memories. We've just had a great run into Kelso, and the three of us will always have Kelso.
Gentlemen, it's been absolutely brilliant. And just look at this, all the way from New Zealand. Glenn Metcalf saying, awesome, Rob.
Great, yeah, we were
Tom's a Kiwi. He thought he got a message.
Well, we were just talking about Glenn Metcalf earlier this afternoon, amazingly. So, hi, Glenn. We were saying nice things about you earlier today.
He wasn't.
We were. Ian Fraser and I were talking about you.
Glenn Metcalf's one of those annoying people that is aging ridiculously well and is probably as fit now as he's ever been. But yeah, I'll pack my jealousy away for this.
We can use him next year. Does he want to sign up?
Yeah, I think he would be. He'll cycle here from New Zealand. The stuff he's done. His mate got on the Waikato River and paddle boarded down the river. Look at him. He's getting all embarrassed. He's saying shucks.
We have one endurance guy. He's not here, so it'd be remiss to be lining up somebody else.
Yeah, we've obviously got Mark Berman as well, who's had to go off and do some work, which is so we've got no one to pull us along on the hard stretches. But so we're a man down. Glenn, if you're available, you could be here in the next half hour. That'd be quite useful. But I don't think it's going to happen, is it? We'll have to wait till next year.
Gents, awesome to see you. Safe travels. We'll see you in Edinburgh. Have a great time. Look after yourselves.
Thanks a lot.
Cheers, gents. So good. They are awesome people. And Captain Wainwright, what an absolute legend. He's the man that started all this nonsense way back when. It started off as a crazy idea, I think, over an ale or two, and it's grown and grown and grown, and now he's got 14,000 people following him, 300 odd people on a bike in the middle of the night, cycling all over Scotland on the most ridiculous route from A to B. It's an incredible thing. So well done, Wainwright. We love you to bits. You have absolutely smashed it. Cammy Little, you've been trying, Cammy, but I'm telling you, it's very unlikely that you're going to get hold of me on a bike. That was last year. I'll see you in the grass market when you get to Edinburgh, folks. So good. Now we do this, and Rob's on his bike, and we talk a bit of nonsense, and we have a heap of fun. But we're also doing this because we want to raise as much money as we possibly can. That money then is distributed and it goes off into various places. But as you know, I hope you know, the My Name's Doddie Foundation is focused really on research and how can we get closer to finding treatments for MND, get closer to finding that cure. So there's a huge team of people, and there are people all over this planet who are working together and making sure that we're sharing those information. The MND community is not just the people who are out doing the fundraising and the challenges, but it's also the researchers. And I'm absolutely delighted to be joined by Dr. Madina Cara, who is at the top of that tree. Hello, and you've got your snood on. I love that, Madina.
Hi, Bruce.
Great to see you. Where are you just now, Madina?
I'm down in London. So far from the cyclists doing these amazing rides up in Scotland.
Yeah, it's an incredible thing. We were talking before we came on air, and you were saying that Edinburgh means quite a lot to you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I did my PhD at the University of Edinburgh. So I lived there for almost 6 years. And so when I go and meet the team and colleagues that are in Edinburgh, it sort of feels like, I think, a second home. So it's really lovely.
Awesome. We love to hear that. We love to hear it. So give us a little bit of background on you, Madina, so that we can understand where you are, because we've met Sean and we've met Jess and Tom. We've met various people that are involved. So what's your background and where do you fit?
Sure. So I'm a former scientist. So I trained, as I said, initially in genetics and development, and then went on to do my PhD in Edinburgh and some postdoctoral research. And then I've been working in research management. So that is the facilitating of the research funding, working with the research community since sort of late 2012 across a number of charities, but also at the National Institute for Health and Care Research, which is the sort of UK arm of funding government research in health and care, working across different conditions, essentially to build partnerships and collaborations between researchers, the communities, just industry. And I joined the foundation in early October, so I'm providing maternity cover for Jess Lee, who you've met before, and I have the privilege of working with the research team and the foundation to help facilitate choosing the research that we fund, working with the research community to make sure that we fund the best research, and making sure that we do that in a really good way, that we know we're funding the best research and that we're facilitating the community to work together.
Awesome. I love it. And I've said this before when we've met others involved in the research. I'm so glad it's you people that are in charge, because it sounds like you've got it sus. Now talk me through, research is obviously competitive, but there's an immense collaboration amongst the people who are working on MND. Are you able to give us some kind of indication as to how that works? Because we know about, people in Edinburgh are aware of what's going on in Edinburgh, but we're also a bit aware that there's a lot of collaboration with other spaces. How does that work?
Yeah, absolutely. So the M&D community is incredibly collaborative, both from the funders of research, but also within the academic community working with that. So obviously we're very privileged to fund research across the UK, and we fund researchers based in London, in Oxford, in Sheffield, in Glasgow, in Edinburgh, and we're very keen to continue to increase the sites that we fund research in. We also work collaboratively globally. So we are members, for example, of the International Alliance of MND and ALS organizations, and they are the umbrella body for organizations like the foundation across the world. So we come together to share our experiences, what we're funding, identify gaps in research, identify good practice that we can share together. As well. So that's really critical. I think a lot of what we do is based on our sort of research strategy, which the team and colleagues in the community put a lot of work into to develop that. And they really did that by looking at the literature of what had been funded already in M&D research, what was known, what was, where are there gaps so that we can target our support, but also to avoid any duplication. And so that was really important about working together to identify that. And
we've spoken to people, and Mark Williams, who's one of our managers for Team Wales, has MND. The research and the foundation take a lot of pride in including people with MND in the research. How does that work?
Yeah, so that's really important to us. One of our pillars of our research strategy is to involve people affected by MND in everything that we do. Within the research team, how that sort of shapes is that actually people affected by MND are actually part of our review panels. And so when we get applications in from research, so we put a call out in whatever scheme that we're running, in open competition, researchers apply. And as that gets reviewed by the research community to make sure that the science is sound and strong and innovative, in parallel to that, we have people affected by MND that actually review those applications. They tend to look at the plain language summary. So what is this research? Will it make an impact, for the community? Has the research been explained well? And they're able to provide their comments, but also scores to us. And when we then come together with our research panel members, those people affected by MND are very much part of those panels and are given sort of equal voice in the room when we meet. And so at those panel meetings, the scientific reviewers will summarize their feedback on the science of the research, but really, really importantly, people affected by MND, both living with MND or people who have had family members with it, are able to share their views and ask questions of the scientists, or give their perspective if they think this, while the science might sound innovative and strong, the likely impact or the length of time it might take to make an impact is discussed. And then what we're really proud of is that at the end of a discussion on each application, when that application is scored, everybody gets to score that who's on that panel, and their scores are equally weighted at that point in the research journey. So it makes a really important way of funding our research. We know we're not only just funding the best science, but we have the sort of backing of the community in terms of looking at the ranking and the importance of that research in what we do. And that's really critical. And we importantly also provide that feedback to the applicants so that they can improve their applications in future, improve their research, be able to share their findings in understandable language, because sometimes I think some of the research we fund is very complicated, and we're not necessarily the best at translating research language when you work in the lab, or into sort of more plain language. And it's a skill that I think we can certainly support development. So it's really nice to give them that feedback and provide opportunities to support. So it's absolutely critical in how we work with people involved in M&D research. And another way we also work with people affected by M&D is in our influencing work. So recently we held a few events, one a bit in Holyrood, but also in Westminster, for policymakers and parliamentarians. And we were joined by our supporters who are living with M&D, and it makes a really critical difference to be able to share their voices and really engage in what's really important to our research community, both in increasing the amount of research government was spending in research in this space, but also the impact that it makes as well.
I love hearing the passion that you talk about and this is something that it feels like we're all part of it. So last year I was part of one of the cycles, and Dr. Tom Gillingsworth brought the whole research lab to see us off, and it was really powerful for me as somebody who's been quite involved in what the foundation does, and I'm aware of these different bits, but it was amazing to have the research lab all there to see us. And it was very much, we can't do what you are doing, and you can't do what we're doing, so we're all needed to make this thing happen. And then you've spoken about including people with MND, so it genuinely is a community, and that kind of thing fills me up. Are you able, Madina, you mentioned there about kind of putting things in layman's terms. Nobody is more layman than me. Now, we raise money. The foundation has raised money. Kevin Simfield's raised money. There are events going on. Can you just explain, what is it that happens? Do you have the money and then say to people, we've got money, come and bid for it? Or do people come to you and say, we've got this idea, here's how much it is, and you go to the foundation and say, can we have this much money?
Sure. So I think I briefly touched earlier on the research strategy that the foundation develops. So we're very clear on the types of research that we want to fund, because that's where the gaps were identified. And so we have really 3 strategic priorities that we look to fund research in. One is to validate therapeutic targets so that we can actually say, yep, it looks like there's something here. How can we take that forward? We want to accelerate treatment. So we want to absolutely support researchers being able to participate, to undertake the research, to lead on clinical trials. And we want to do something called improving translation. And what that really means is we want to be able to take those findings in the lab and actually turn them into something in the clinic. And there's quite a lot of steps that you need to go between those to be able to understand and unlock that. And how we do that is through a number of approaches. But for your particular question is how we invest in the research. So as I mentioned, we have particular funding calls. So we have 4 at the moment. One is our discovery network, and that's really focused on calling the research community to come together to help us understand more about this condition. What's causing it? What are the underlying mechanisms that are actually making motor neurons get sick in somebody? And how do we actually understand what's going on? So if we understand what's going on, we can identify potential targets. We then have an award called Advancing Treatments Awards, and that's where researchers have found perhaps what is going on, but actually wanting to translate that now from some lab findings into more human models and studies. and maybe even start to work a little bit with industry partners to actually be able to get more data to do that. We have an award called a Catalyst Award. That's really for smaller amounts of funding, but it's really for researchers to get some funding to show some preliminary data to unlock much more investment down the track. And I'm really excited about a new award that we've just been commissioning, which we'll be able to announce the outcome in a short while. But this is actually to support people to actually recruit patients into more clinical trials. So as more trials are coming online, we want the MND community to be able to have the opportunity, no matter where they are in the UK, to participate, and not just if they happen to be near a very large centre which is participating. But we know one of the barriers that we've had feedback is that there sometimes lack of clinicians to actually recruit patients into those studies, or that they're far from where they need to be. So that's something we do. So when we put a call out, it's very much openly advertised to the entire research community. There are standard application forms, and when they are then submitted, we allocate those to reviewers to actually tell us, is this good research? You know, is it not duplicating something that's being funded elsewhere? Do we need to know the answers? And as I mentioned, we then come to panel meetings, and they make recommendations to us on what is fundable. And we take that back then to the board of trustees of the foundation to actually ratify that we've had an open call. These are the recommendations, and they ratify that. And then we work with that community to agreement. So it's an entire cycle, I think, from funding call right through to what we fund, and work with the researchers that we end up funding throughout their funding period.
It's incredible. I heard Dr. Judy Newton, she was saying how to replicate studies, it's like Costa. The way it's done in Manchester, it has to be done exactly the same way in Edinburgh or in Brisbane or wherever these centres are, which requires a lot of communication. Is there a feeling amongst the researchers that everyone's on the same team?
I think that's really important, and we are certainly able to support more and more collaboration. So we're really pleased to be one of the funding partners for something called the UK M&D Research Institute. And this is very much a virtual institute linking different universities around the country to come together to share what we'd call protocols. So you are doing your research in similar ways, that you are able to recruit to the same studies. And actually in some of our other funding calls, we make sure to particularly advocate for multi-institutional grants so that they can actually work together and actually also learn from each other. I think sometimes you'll find that one university has a great skill set or experience in one area of research, and another will be an expert in something else, and how you actually can cross-fertilize that intelligence and actually raise the game for everyone, I think is really important. And I think importantly, learning from other conditions as well. So we certainly are part of wider neurodegenerative conversations, so we can learn from other conditions that might have made progress where we want to as well.
Dr. Madina, you are blowing my socks off at the moment, but it's the passion that you talk with that's really gripping me. So we've taken up a bunch of your time, and I've really enjoyed it. But what I'd like you to do, can you just give me and the people watching, the people involved, we talk a lot about hope, and the foundation talks a lot about hope. I'm not expecting a big announcement here, but are you able to give us a bit of hope, please?
Absolutely. I think it's what we know now today about the condition and what's causing it is so much more than I think we knew a few years ago. I think the pace of science is always interesting, because the more we know, the more we unlock. And we have many researchers working across the world, as we said, in the UK, working on that and understanding that. And I think there are avenues of more potential trials on the horizon. So we sort of we appreciate it and are mindful for, I think, our language being cautious optimism, but it's certainly we're all kind of working together in the right direction so that we really unlock those opportunities for people to, I think, get improved diagnosis in the future, and opportunities for us to delay the sort of onset of symptoms and the progression of symptoms in the future.
Thank you so much. It's been awesome to have you with us. I really hope at some point we get to meet in person, whether you're back up here or I get to come down to the Big Smoke in London Village. But it's been incredible to speak to you, Madina. Thank you so much. And I think I speak for everybody in please keep up the good work, because it sounds incredible.
Well, thank you for having me.
It's
to
awesome.
Chat.
Thank you. So good, so very, very good, and that's why we're doing it, people. We're all doing the bit that we can do. So hopefully, what you're doing, you feel like you're contributing. And sometimes we can maybe get a bit bogged down in but if only. But we just do what we can do, and then hopefully, when we add that all together, it's a pretty special thing. And I think what you're doing and what we're doing and what the foundation are doing is all adding up to doing a pretty good thing, and it's giving people hope. So keep it going. Whether you're on a bike and struggling through the dark and the cold, or you're doing your last miles, or you're wondering what's going to happen next, please keep it going. I promise you it makes a difference, and it's helping people. It's been an outstanding thing. Now, before we get to our last guest that was pre-recorded, let's have a look at the leaderboard and see what you 14,000 people have been up to, because it's just been an amazing thing. Technical hitch, we're still adding up. They've got the abacus out the back. They're just still trying to add it up. So what we're going to do now is we're going to get to a guest. Now, I've been pretty lucky in the time that I've been involved in Doddie Aid and the foundation. We've spoken to incredible people, the scientists who are putting the work in, the celebrities who are championing what's going on, people suffering with MND that are still giving hope and inspiration to others. We've spoken to fundraisers and people in the community, and let's face it, everybody's favorite, Harvey Dewar, because the boy is an absolute legend, and who knows what the future holds when he can do what he's done at 10 years old. Good grief, it's what he's got planned for next year, I can only imagine. And one of the people I got to meet is somebody I've seen for a while, I've watched on TV. He's been involved in the foundation. I've never met him, but I got a chance to have a chat to him the other day. And he's another one that just fills you up and gives you some inspiration. So now it's time for TV's own, the one and the only Jimmy Nesbitt. Have a watch of this. Absolutely delighted to be joined by Ireland captain, the one and the only Jimmy Nesbitt. Jimmy, how are you?
Good, thank you. Sorry I haven't got my snooter stuff, but I'm away at the minute down in the mountains, the rolling mountains of Wicklow for a couple of days. Recovery after the Ireland-England match, and getting ready to go to Murrayfield actually the weekend.
Oh, happy days. It was never in doubt, the Ireland-England game, was it?
Well, it was interesting, because England started well, I thought, and I thought they had really good hands. I thought all their angles were good. I mean, and they gave us a bit of a fright. And also, we started a little bit nervous. I went, as I always do before the England match, I walked down to the Shelbourne to watch the team coming out. And I felt they were a little bit nervous. And I think that showed in the first wee while. But, England made some odd substitutions, I thought. I couldn't quite understand that. And I think our subs worked well. And we just got too strong in the end. We just lasted better. So it was a wee bit nervy, but fabulous atmosphere, just wonderful. And it's so great to start off like that, and when you have a bad start in the Six Nations, it kind of ruins your year because you've been looking forward to it for so long.
I'm going to get my tiny violin out for an Ireland fan talking about a poor start to Six Nations.
No, we're going. It's very exciting, but I think France are going to be hard. I'm sure Scotland is not going to be easy either. But with our young players coming in, the players that we've had can't last forever and won't last forever. So it's important, I think, to introduce a lot of the young ones. But no, I'm excited. It's just such a great tournament.
And how much do you enjoy coming to Murrayfield? Is that the favourite away ground?
I love it, actually. I'm going with a few mates this time. I'll bump into Roy Dawson. I'm actually going with Kenny Logan. So it's not all good news. But it'll be fun. We're going this Saturday night. We'll go to the Kimpton, and have a couple, I'm sure. And then I'm actually going with the International Hotel Group this year, who invited me along, and so I mean, it's just sensational crack, Murrayfield, you know, and of course the competition is as fierce, but unquestionably the relationship between the two fans, I think, and the two teams feels like a bit better than it is with some of the other ones. But I mean, when come kick off, it'll be brutal again. I'm very excited.
Yeah, it's a special thing. The Six Nations in Scotland Island is the one you always look for. When is it? When can I be there?
Yeah.
And Kenny, you mentioned darling Kenny there. That ride that you did just looked spectacular. Do you look back on that with fond memories?
No, it was fantastic. The World Cup Challenge. I joined it a little bit late, but I started, I think, in York, and it was. I mean, it was. You know, for us Isle boys, like for me and even the legendary McCoist, it was pretty brutal, some of it, you know. I mean, the hills were a nightmare. The hills really were horrific, but it was brilliant, and it's just amazing camaraderie. We met really good people, really good friends, and you know, the glue, of course, of it is continuing this challenge of trying to make the world motor neuron disease free, and it's a fantastic glue, that, because we never forget it. We're never really allowed to forget that that's what we're doing, and that's what the money's for, and that's what the crack is for as well. So it was something we'll always remember, and met great people, and had great fun. And then when we got to Murrayfield, it was a very good night and good time. And McCoist and I actually got locked in a before it started, like the hospitality thing. And it was, you know, I think that's the thing about the Doddie thing is, yes, there is work involved, you know. I mean, there is activity and it can be strenuous, but that's what makes it so good, in a sense, you know, that you can't really have the enjoyment without that. And I think that's what everyone knows, and they think they know that there's a much higher and more fundamental and hugely important cause here, which is at its very core, and the courage that Doddie showed, and others as well. The courage that Doddie showed right to the end, I think, is a tremendous spur for everyone. You
know, I'm going to go to Channel 4 and pitch an idea to them. A lock-in with Jimmy Nesbitt and Ali McCoist, like that. Yeah. That has to have viewed figures through the roof.
Yeah. Oh no, he's so great, and you know, he has come over to Portrush, because you know I'm lucky enough to live in Portrush a lot of the time now, sort of where I grew up, and then I went away for years, but now I'm back there a lot, and just by the sea. And as I'm sure you might know, quite often we've raised quite a lot of money bringing people over to Portrush to play with, like me, or with Kenny, with Paddy Keelty, Anton Dubek, Ali McCoist, Robbie Fowler. I mean, a pretty good roll call, actually, and they come over, and all those boys stay with me, and then we play with in four balls with people who spend a good bit of money, and it's spectacular. I mean, it is social now. There's no getting away from that. It is a social event, but it's competitive as hell, and they're just you know, they give up their time so gladly, and it's a you know, it's a wonderful place, Portrush, and so we have really good crack. But once again, everyone knows what they're there for. So it's like, you know, I'm also a UNICEF ambassador, and I often say that it's just a privilege, these things. You know, so it's a great privilege to be involved with Doddie Foundation, because it's given me the opportunity to meet people, to do things I wouldn't have necessarily done. But also it is very grounding, and it's important, and to be able to be part of getting that message out there, and just trying to spread the word about this terrible, terrible disease, which is so cruel. And how important it is to continue to try and raise funds for research into
it. It's completely crafted in Doddie's image, isn't it? You've made so many of those things you just said are Doddie Weir. It's humble, it's grounded, it's fun, it's hardworking, You bring people together, you build relationships. I mean, it's Doddie all over. Can you give us a bit of an insight into some of your Doddie Weir shenanigans?
Well, we've had fun now, I have to say. I mean, all of us, Port Rush always end. I mean, the way they do it is they come over with a play, and then we just go to the Harbour Bar basically, and it's long-lasting nights. But you know, I've travelled a good bit with it, and I mean, obviously, with Doddie Aid this year, I'm a bit tech hopeless, and I was a bit late to it because I was in Kenya, and but I've been very committed to it. I just haven't been very good at logging the miles. And we've got an Irish team this year for the first time. I mean, I think there's only about 450, but I mean that will grow, and we intend to make it grow. And also my partner's brother, Duncan Gladhill, he's in a team of about 15. They're called the Road Hogs. They're from Belfast, and they're very committed cyclists. So they're doing it tomorrow. They're going from Drogheda up to Belfast, and it, you know, I just think it's the as I've said before, the marriage and the collision of the graft and the social is brilliant, and the World Cup really saw that. You know, we rode hard and we played hard at the end. It was really brilliant.
And can you remember the first time you met Doddie? Was he somebody you'd admired as a player?
Yeah, I admired him a lot. Yeah, but I didn't really meet Doddie. Probably, I mean, funny enough, I knew a lot of the Scottish team before that, and the Irish team obviously. But Doddie, I actually only really met when he had started to be ill, and that was with Kenny. When Kenny brought me on board, kind of a number of years ago, when it was all starting. And so I regret hugely I didn't get to spend him a lot, but when I did, there was such a twinkle, you know, even as he continued to, as he deteriorated. But I met his family, and his sons are carrying on a lot of his kind of legacy, I think, in many ways. I had a great time with the big tall one out in Paris. Yeah, brilliant, great guy. His father would have been proud of him that night. No, fun. But I mean, they're courageous young. I mean, they're brilliant. To show such courage and to carry on, you know, and keep this going, it's magnificent. And
as you look to the future, what can you see happening with your involvement in the foundation? It's obviously set to continue.
Yeah, I think it goes from strength to strength. You know, because there's such honesty about it, and there's such honesty about the courage with which everyone affected has been dealing with their disease. The courage in not locking themselves away, in presenting themselves, in exposing themselves and saying, this is me, this is what disease I have. It may not end up well for me, but I want it to end up well for people in the future. And I just think the courage of that is why the foundation is growing at such a rate, because people recognise that, and it's about humanity. You know, and that really is one of the rarest qualities of all. And the humanity that these people have shown is extraordinary. And I think that rubs off on people. And that's why the foundation is magnificent. And I'll be in it until I take my last breath. I'll do whatever I can for it.
I love listening to you. I love listening to the passion that you've got for it. You're properly invested in it. But I can't let you go, Jimmy, without a prediction. Scotland, Ireland at the weekend. Come on, give me your prediction.
Tough, but I think I mean we made some funny decisions the other day against England. We had 3 very kickable, and we kind of played, and then we didn't score from. And so I don't want to see that again. But I think we're strong, and I think once we get momentum, I think it's good. I think you've got a few injuries, but I mean, of course, Finn can do anything really, you know. So I mean, if Finn's fit to play, isn't he? He's playing, isn't he? Finn Russell.
Yeah.
Well,
Finn's
I mean, he can change matches on by himself. But I would have thought we'll win 27-19.
Okay. Yeah, I totally disagree, but I'll accept it. I think when Finn said that he was the Messi of rugby, I would really have loved him to have said he was the Ali McCoist of rugby, because I think that's a true reflection.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jimmy, thanks so much. It's incredible that you've given up your time for us to have a chat, and please keep it going. And I hope you enjoy your holiday and then your jaunt across to Edinburgh. Look after yourself. Thanks a lot, Jimmy Nesbitt. You're an absolute gentleman,
Bruce.
sir.
All the best. Take care.
Thank you. There's going to be a heap of people in Edinburgh, Jimmy Nesbitt hunting, I'm thinking. He's given away quite a lot about his weekend plans there. And I wonder, is anybody able to help out Andrew Rome, because he's looking for some bars to I don't know where you are, Andrew. Are you in Edinburgh? Where are you? So if you got any recommendations for Andrew, stick them in the chat and help him out. So, folks, we are almost there. The finish line is in sight, both for the last live show and for Doddie Aid 2025. We're 4 hours away from the last chance to log your miles. So go out and take the dog for a walk, or jump on your bike and join Rob Wainwright going through the borders. There's still stuff going on. So even though Doddie Aid, the app login, finishes today, there is still plenty to get excited about. Keep an eye on all the socials for the My Name is Doddie and Doddie Aid, because you'll see the different meeting points and the club visits for these 300 odd cyclists that are following Captain Wainwright to Edinburgh. They're all going to arrive in Edinburgh. Keep an eye on the time. Let's give them a big welcome to the finish line. Last year, I was lucky enough to be in Rome, and we were there in the piazza, and it was an incredible thing. So if you're able to be there, get involved. I promise you'll enjoy it. And there's links for the donations to that cycle, and that all adds up to the total for Doddie Aid too. Next week, when the cycle is finished, you'll get all the totals of distances travelled, of money raised, of people involved. Well done to each and every one of you. Thank you so much. We've heard from all the most important people, the captains, the celebrities. We've heard from people within the community. We've heard with those with MND, the researchers, and everybody needs everybody else. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your colleagues, get involved, make them aware of the My Name is Doddie Foundation. There are events all the way through the year. Doddie Aid is not just for January, it's for life, I promise you. There's business club events, there's fundraising, there's golf days, there is all sorts for you to get involved in, and it's an incredible thing. So please, please, please keep talking, because I was at one MND funeral in this Doddie Aid 2025, and we don't want to have more. So let's see if we can get closer to finding this cure, but that needs you to raise money and raise awareness. Thank you to everybody for tuning in. Thank you to all the volunteers. Thank you to the people who have made the live shows happen, the cycles happen, who have organized the fundraising events, organized the cycles and the walks and the 5Ks. You are it. You are the people that do the good stuff. So we're going to finish with a montage, and that'll take us out. So from me, Bruce Aitchison, my happiness is always egg-shaped for the My Name is Doddie Foundation. Hopefully we'll see each other in the flesh at some point soon. Keep in touch, keep sharing, keep posting, because you never know who you're inspiring. Just look at Harvey Dewar. Kid's only 10. What an absolute man mountain. For now, farewell. Doddie Aid 2025 signing off. Look after yourself and each other.